Hi, I'm Amanda. My son is 5 now. He was born hearing and has bilateral cochlear implants. But I wanted to talk to you today about advocacy and support, and mainly being that voice for your children, hearing or not, just as the children, don't have that voice yet. But to talk about advocacy and to help you understand where I am in my journey, I just want to take you a little bit through my background. Several defining moments have happened for me in my life, two of which have definitely had a profound effect on defining my experiences and views. Firstly, there was the passing of my husband whilst I was 3 months pregnant with Xavier. The second was at age 2 when Xavier contracted meningitis and ultimately led to the loss of his hearing and his profound deafness. I already had experience around the importance of being a voice for someone who can't or doesn't have their own voice, as I experienced this with the loss of my husband. I needed someone to step up and be my voice through both of these tragedies until I could find my own. And at that time, that was my mum, which as a 30-year-old, sometimes that can be hard in itself, allowing your mum to be that person. When Xavier contracted the meningitis, that advocate firstly was my mum again, and then me once I moved through my initial shock of him having meningitis. I had already lost my husband, and 2 years later I was facing an even greater fear. I did feel I was about to lose Xavier. I gained an inner strength and a voice that I didn't know I had. I was able to do things that previously would have sent me reeling to the floor. I approached people, I sought clarification and questioned decisions because my son was my sole responsibility. Although I had the support of a very close-knit family and many, many friends, final decisions were always mine. I had an amazing team of experts around me at the point that we suspected Xavier was deaf, and we estimate that that was actually only a maximum of 6 weeks from when he contracted meningitis to when he was actually switched on. A paediatrician listened when I came in with my suspicions, despite Xavier making amazing physical progress in learning to walk again, everything. When I came to him with my suspicions, he took it further. I had a private health fund worker who really took me under her wing. She took away all my paperwork. I literally just emailed her everything, and she then preempted all the forms that I would need to fill in, and just that little bit was so great. I also had the team at Telephone Speech and Hearing who worked side by side with me to get everything done as quickly as possible. And then I had an ENT who was, for want for a better term, he was just a really down-to-earth, straight talker, and that was great at that time. But we do have to acknowledge that sometimes doctors and other professionals don't know our children as well as we do. Whilst at times through the implant process I did have to speak up for Xavier, the one big advocacy event that has occurred for the two of us was 6 months later when Xavier broke his leg. I had other parents, ambulance officers and ED nurses all tell me that Xavier was too calm and he wasn't showing signs of a broken leg. But I still pushed for an x-ray. And it wasn't until after I felt like I told the 100th nurse that about Xavier's last 6 months, did she actually listen? And sure enough, Xavier had snapped his femur in half and he hadn't flinched through 4 examinations. Needless to say, he was suffering from white coat fever, which I'm sure a lot of our children do, and he still does suffer from it. Our children don't have the voice, they rely upon us to be that voice. No matter how many times you get called that mother or that parent, you have to know that you have your child's best interest at heart and that you are doing your best to support your child, and that's where I come from in my views of advocacy. From my strong stance on advocating for Xavier and trusting that mummy instinct, I started to build up this amazing support network. As I said, I didn't hold back in asking people, questioning things until I understood them, and then I could talk to other people about it. I spoke with a counsellor that was provided to me through Telephone Speech and Hearing. I then got my own private counsellor to explore all the wider issues. I contacted a family who I'd never met before, but who had provided their details to TSH for new families to contact. I joined Carers WA, and the list of professional services just goes on and on. But I came to understand that learning is another key to support. I found the more educated I became, the more I could educate everyone around us about Xavier's implants, and the less afraid people became of them. That's kids and adults alike, and that's just helped with Xavier's acceptance. My education started with Bronwyn Birch. Bron was Xavier's first AV therapist after Switch On 3 years ago. But Bron wasn't just Xavier's AV therapist, she was the person who pushed me, taught me, and she really helped me through every hurdle and through every rut. We now see Bron privately through her business Hearing in the Home, and we do that therapy at home now. Doing that therapy at home, it's strengthening my inner support network, my fiance and 2 older children. By bringing the therapy into the home, all 5 of us support each other equally and know the ins and outs of Xavier's equipment and also Xavier's needs. As I found that I didn't share as much with my family as I did with my friends, I just expected them to know everything because they see us together all the time. Bron has been able to give the family the why rather than just the how when it comes to Xavier's auditory environment. I learned to share my story as well. A very important avenue of support came from people in general. Friends, acquaintances, family, strangers, friends of friends. It really is it's really the old saying of 2 heads are better than one. In my case, lots of heads were far better. Xavier and I were with Telephone Speech and Hearing for 2 years before Xavier reached school age. During this time, we met some wonderful families that we are still connected with through Facebook. We've created this fantastic hub of support. Our posts range from new providers and services that we have found, general jokes, questions about behaviours, and just sharing those experiences which we all know we're going to face in order to help each other. Through this group and sharing, we were able to help one family who wasn't receiving as much support from her school as we were. As a group, we were able to give her all the information we had collectively gathered, and she passed that on to her teacher and principal. Simple things like YouTube videos about FMs, smartboard apps that teachers can use in the classroom. The best thing is sharing experiences, and we can all learn and grow through others' journeys. We do hear about the evils of Facebook all the time as well. And for me, it has actually helped set up a lot of anxious moments and also widen the support network. Xavier wanted to play AFL, but after the first week was upset because his implants kept getting knocked off. So I put my dilemma out there in the world of Facebook, and within 2 days I had a list of rugby helmets with brands that the padding was in places that didn't affect the implants. And that came from that little piece of support came from my sister-in-law in Melbourne, where helmets are actually compulsory in the junior clubs. So she contacted her AFL club, who contacted the implant family on their records, who in turn contacted me with the list of information that she'd already researched. The support web then got a little wider when I went to the sports store to get that helmet. Mum went in first and asked for the helmet. They didn't have it, so she left. I went in 1 week later and they still didn't have it. I explained, I shared my story and just said why I was looking for such a specific item. The manager then turned around and ranked every store in WA, including the wholesaler, found me 2 of the 3 brands, transferred it to his local store so that I could take Xavier in and we could find out which one was for him. The power of voice and sharing really still does amaze me. My journey has taught me many things and also given me a gift. I am now able to help people and not just those within the deaf community. My journey is unique and I'd never want anyone to walk in my shoes, but I would love everyone to share in the support that I've received.